Whatever time you are watching this webisode, I hope it is good. My name is Jeff Schubert, and my discovery of East Brunswick continued at the East Brunswick Museum. This is a small museum, but it is run by passionate historians, and I found that to be quite infectious. They have some great exhibits that I think you'll like whether you're from EB or not. I took a guess at some of the things I was looking at. You'll see how well I did. And I also had some good laughs with my very knowledgeable tour guide, Mark Nonestied. Check it out. Mark, I'm excited to work some culture into my day. You know, coming to East Brunswick and doing this show, I didn't realize that there would actually even be a museum in East Brunswick.
Right, certainly. Well, this township has a lot of history. It was incorporated in 1860, and before that, there's much history as well. So, you know, with any community that has a rich past like East Brunswick, it's good to have a place where we can kind of gather those artifacts and tell that story.
And from what I understand, next year you got a big anniversary coming up, right?
Right. 40 years, a milestone for the museum.
That's great. Congratulations. Yeah. So what are we looking at over here?
Sure. So the museum has an eclectic collection of artifacts that have been donated or loaned over the years. And many of these pieces came from families that lived in East Brunswick historically. And they're sort of grouped by the different themes. And we have antique kitchen equipment in here, an old cast iron wood-burning stove from the 1910s era with lots of cast iron cookware that would have gone along with the stove.
My compliments to your dishwasher. Aside from the rust on this piece, it looks very clean.
Right, yes. I think an interesting piece here, I'll just squeeze over
Please
here and
do.
grab this item right here.
Looks like some sort of mop thing. You attach the...
Maybe a mop on the bottom?
Yeah.
So this is a manual vacuum cleaner.
Oh, okay, that would have been my next. See, something cleaning floors, right?
So you literally, you push up on the plunger and it creates the vacuum and sucks up the dirt that's on the floor. This one's from about 1905.
So here we have an organ. Does this organ play still?
I believe it does. Let's see, this one has been electrified, but this is a reed organ, and these were they're also called parlor organs. You can see the advertisement we have up there. They originally had two pedals that would pump the air through the machine, and then this one here has been electrified.
Oh, wow. You can play.
And it has a
saxophone. I see there's different flute. You can generate different sounds.
Yeah, these are called stops, and you push them in and out to generate the sound. And then there's candle stands for the light. But these were common items found in people's parlors 125 years ago.
Wow, I didn't realize they had synthesizers back then, or you know what they might call for that. $28, so that was you can get like an Acme oven and a refrigerator and maybe something else for that money. So this was for the affluent, right?
Right. Some of these were sold out of Sears and Roebuck mail order catalogs. We have an advertisement for one from 1902.
They crucified him. That doesn't sound like a happy song. Now, if I had to guess, this looks like something that you dig into the soil with or test the soil, or?
This is a seed planter from the late 1800s. You would stick this end into the soil, into the ground, and you'd press down on the front, and it would drop the seeds into the ground. So you stick that in, press down, and this one we've got set up for corn.
Oh, wow. And how old, is this corn edible, or how old is this? Is this from the era, or is this like what you put in to keep it stocked? Yeah, I'll take your advice on that. And this whole display in general, this is your farm equipment section?
East Brunswick was predominantly agricultural until after the Second World War. So this kind of helps tell that story of the agricultural history in this township. And it was one of the reasons why East Brunswick was first settled, because of the fertile soil and the accessibility to markets.
Now, when I see this,
I think the Grim Reaper, right?
I think like Scream 1, Scream 2. Is there another, what is the non-horror movie use?
Right. So this is for cutting down wheat and other grains in the field. And you'd swing it and you pull it back and the blade would cut it down.
Oh, nice.
And of course, this was the days before they had machinery to do all that. It was manual, intense labor that was required to harvest the crops. And this is a reminder of that labor-intensive process.
So the next time I see that in a movie, I'll be like, you don't got to get scared. That's just for the weeds.
Right.
So these were produced in the 1960s by, they were called Davis Gray watercolors. He was an artist, but also a company that employed other artists to create local scenes of historical significance. And here he's sort of highlighting the Revolutionary War period, which of course is very appropriate for East Brunswick. There were skirmishes that were fought in even though the town wasn't incorporated yet within the boundaries, there were skirmishes that were fought. And George Washington came through this area after the Battle of Monmouth. This one is the retreat across New Jersey in 1776, so this was prior to the Battle of Monmouth, which was in 1778. But it is where one of the hamlets within the town would get its name, Old Bridge. He came through this area after the Battle of Monmouth, heading to New Brunswick, and passed through this area and remarked about the old bridge that had crossed the South River.
So these are some artifacts from Dr. Ira Crandall, who was the local doctor here in the neighborhood. We have a bill here for some services. We also have another one in our collection that was the cost for delivering a baby in the early 1900s. It cost $12.50 at the time.
I see doctor's handwriting was no better back in the 1900s than it is today, right?
This is an interesting instrument. This is a bloodletting knife or a lancet that's spring-loaded. You would push it back, and then you'd put it on the skin, and then hit that, and it would leave an indentation or leave a cut. And the thought was that it was removing some of the the bad blood that was in you. So the museum has a room that's dedicated to tell the story of the veterans and those that provided service throughout the armed conflicts. And we have a lot of artifacts here, some of which date back to the Civil War.
I'm glad the museum pays its respects to our veterans. Of course they deserve it. Harold Hoffman donated all of his belongings to your library. I believe it was his daughter.
Right, yes.
Seeing all the elephants, my guess is he was a Republican.
Yeah, he had an appetite for, or a penchant for these, collecting the elephants. And many of these were acquired from his time as resident of South Amboy and governor of New Jersey.
So you were starting to say that this was from his campaign?
Right, yes, yeah. It's a massive portrait, for governor, and it says Harold Hoffman on the bottom. And this was one of the items that came out of the family's collection, and actually out of the garage in South Amboy.
I guess before social media and TV, this was the way to get your face out there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
National billboards. Doing all the things I'm doing on the show reminds me of all the things I'm not doing on my own. Yeah, I read about interesting things on the internet, but that's not the same as going in person. EBers, you got a really cool museum in your township. I highly recommend you check it out if you haven't already. And if it's been a while, remember they do change the exhibits every year or two. If you're not from the EB area, check out the local museum near you. Get some culture in your life. It's a good thing. I want to thank Mark again for the tour, and until next time, have a sandwich. It can be gluten-free.
So this is an Oliver typewriter from the early 1900s where the keys come down off the side. To it. The company was pretty popular at one time.
I think the next time someone complains about their 4G connection, they should think about
right.
that typewriter.
Keeps things in perspective.
How many words per minute can you type on a device like that? Right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Me,
Okay.
I would not be able to type many.